Welcome to Oakwood, Georgia, where pecan trees sway and a little girl's courage lights up the dark. Meet Ellie, 6 years old, standing tall for a veteran service dog with a heart as big as the South. This true tale's got grit, grace, and a German shepherd named Titan. Hit subscribe, grab some sweet tea, and join our family. Don't miss a moment of this heartwarming ride. The late autumn sun hung low over Oakwood, Georgia, casting a golden glow across the sleepy town's pecan groves and weathered porches. Inside Oakwood Elementary, the sharp timbre of Principal Thomas Hargrove's voice sliced through the hallway's stillness as 6-year-old Ellie Morgan was escorted out. "You're expelled, clean out your locker and go," he commanded, his words striking like a gavel on the small girl's fragile world. Ellie's slight frame trembled beneath her faded denim jacket, but her chin jutted forward, freckles standing out against her tear-stained cheeks like stars on a stormy night. She clutched her backpack, its worn fabric covered in hand-drawn German shepherds, each sketch a tribute to the dogs her granddad had taught her to revere. The hallway fell into a stunned hush, students peering from classroom doors, teachers frozen mid-step, as the girl known for her quiet kindness was marched toward the exit. Just moments earlier, her second-grade classroom had erupted in chaos during a Veterans Day presentation, an event that would ripple far beyond the school's red brick walls. The trouble ignited when Jack Reynolds, a Marine veteran with a limp and eyes shadowed by years of unseen battles, faltered mid-speech. His gravelly voice, recounting how his service dog Titan helped him navigate the lingering echoes of war, broke as a panic attack seized him. He dropped to his knees, breath ragged, hands gripping the podium's edge. Titan, a German shepherd with a coat like burnished oak and a gaze steady as stone, pressed against Jack's side, nudging his chest with practiced calm, a lifeline in fur. The kids watched, wide-eyed, until Health Inspector Clarence Tate burst through the door. His clipboard raised like a weapon, his thin frame taut with indignation. "No animals allowed on school premises, this is a blatant violation," he barked, his voice shrill with a fear few understood. Principal Hargrove, a former Army officer whose stern demeanor masked a deeper sorrow, stepped in, issuing Ellie an ultimatum after she planted herself between Jack and the inspector, her small voice reciting service dog laws with unwavering resolve. She'd chosen Jack and Titan over obedience, and now, as the school's double doors clanged shut behind her, she stood alone on the concrete steps, her backpack and a dented tin of colored pencils her only companions. Wiping her eyes with a sleeve, she began the long walk home through Oakwood's oak-lined streets, her sneakers scuffing the pavement, her mind racing with how she'd face Granddad Henry. Unbeknownst to her, a black SUV idled at the corner of Pine Street, a uniformed figure watching her through tinted glass, his jaw set with purpose. The storm was only beginning. Ellie Morgan wasn't your average 6-year-old. 3 years prior, a torrential downpour had turned a Georgia highway into a death trap, claiming her parents, Sarah Morgan, a nurse with a laugh like summer rain, and Lieutenant Michael Morgan, a Marine whose steady presence had anchored their little family. The crash left Ellie with her grandfather, Henry Morgan, a Vietnam vet whose grizzled face and gravelly drawl carried the weight of a war fought decades ago. Henry's nights were haunted by jungle screams, his sleep fractured by memories he rarely shared. But Ellie's arrival had softened his edges. Her soft humming as she colored at the kitchen table, her small hand slipping into his during evening walks, became a balm for his restless soul. She'd absorbed his stories like a sponge, tales of muddy trails, ambushes dodged, and the German shepherds who'd sniffed out danger, saving his platoon more times than he could count. Her sketchbook overflowed with their images, noble, watchful dogs in charcoal and crayon, each drawing a quiet vow to honor the lessons he'd passed down, despite the shadows of loss. Ellie carried a light that warmed Oakwood, a town where folks still hung flags on porches and swapped gossip over sweet tea at the diner. Oakwood itself was a patchwork of southern charm and simmering tensions. Nestled among rolling hills dotted with pecan trees, its streets wound past clapboard homes with rocking chairs creaking in the breeze, a barbershop where old-timers spun yarns, and a general store that still sold homemade peach preserves. The air smelled of wood smoke and earth, a timeless rhythm disrupted in recent months by a brewing divide. The upcoming town council election had split neighbors, some rallied for veteran support, their porches bristling with stars and stripes bunting, while others demanded tighter school safety rules after a stray dog bit a child at the county fair last spring, leaving scars and fear in its wake. Oakwood Elementary reflected this rift with its new, zero-tolerance animal policy, a knee-jerk reaction to appease worried parents. The timing couldn't have been worse, clashing with Veterans Day festivities as more returning soldiers leaned on service dogs to reclaim their lives. The players in Ellie's world formed a tangled web. Principal Hargrove, whose son perished in Afghanistan, ran the school like a barracks, his grief forging an unyielding grip on order. Clarence Tate, haunted by his son's mauling 2 years back, saw every dog as a lurking threat. Jack Reynolds, Henry's old squad mate from Annam, depended on Titan to tether him to the present. And Colonel James Carter, a Marine with a quiet intensity, loomed on the edges, his connection to Ellie's past a mystery yet to unfold. Veterans Day at Oakwood Elementary was a cherished tradition. A day when the cafeteria swapped sloppy joes for potluck casseroles and kids wore red, white, and blue. This year promised extra heart. Jack Reynolds, invited to share how Titan eased his PTSD, shuffled into Ellie's classroom, his Marine pin glinting against his faded jacket. Titan padded beside him, his ears pricked, his service vest a badge of duty. Principal Hargrove had approved it with a curt nod, though his jaw clenched at the sight of the dog, his discomfort palpable. The room buzzed with second graders' chatter as Jack began, his voice rough but earnest. Titan ain't just a dog, he's my battle buddy. Keeps me steady when the world spins out. He recounted how Titan sensed panic before it hit, pressing against him to ground his racing heart, even fetching pill bottles from the counter. The kids leaned forward, enthralled, Ellie most of all, perched in the front row, her hazel eyes shining. "Granddad says service dogs are heroes too," she piped up, "saving lives like soldiers." Jack's weathered face creased with a smile, nodding. "Your granddad's right, kid. Titan saved mine plenty." The magic held until Clarence Tate stormed in, his routine cafeteria check done. His thin frame stiffened, eyes locking on Titan with a mix of dread and fury. 2 years ago, a loose German shepherd had mauled his son at a park, leaving scars and a father's lingering terror. "What's that animal doing here?" he demanded, voice rising over the kids' murmurs. "This breaks health codes, endangers children." Jack's hand rested on Titan, a steadying anchor, as Hargrove stepped forward, his tone clipped. "It's an educational exception, Clarence." Tate shook his head, clipboard trembling. "No exceptions, dogs don't belong here." Hargrove's patience frayed. "Mr. Reynolds, perhaps but the clash shattered Jack's calm. His breath hitched, hands clutching his chest as he sank to his knees, eyes glazing with a distant horror. Titan pressed harder, nudging him, but Tate recoiled. "That dog's loose, it's a danger." Ellie sprang up, her small body a shield between Jack and the men. "Titan's allowed, Granddad taught me the law. The ADA says service dogs go where their people go." Hargrove loomed, face flushing. "Enough, Ellie Morgan. You don't speak to adults like that. He's helping Mr. Reynolds, you're making it worse," she shot back, steady despite her size. "Titan's not a pet, he's medicine." Tate pointed, flustered. "She's out of line, dogs hurt kids." Ellie shook her head, curls bouncing. "You wouldn't take someone's crutches, would you?" Hargrove's eyes blazed, grief and authority colliding. "One more word, and you're finished." Ellie glanced at Jack's pale face, Titan's steadfast form, and spoke her truth. "The law's bigger than your rules, Principal Hargrove. My dad died for it." The room gasped, a collective intake of breath. Hargrove's face twisted, rage, pain, memory. "You're expelled, pack your things and wait outside." Teachers whispered, kids sniffled. But Ellie gathered her locker in silence. Jack's faint, "This ain't right," lost as she was led out. The afternoon sun stretched long shadows across Oakwood's town square as Ellie trudged home. Her sneakers dragging, her backpack heavier with each step. She'd walked nearly an hour, stalling the moment she'd face Grandad Henry. The clock tower chimed 3, its bronze notes a reminder he'd be in his rocker. Peering through the lace curtains, his medals gleaming on the side table, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, relics of a life she only knew through stories. How could she tell him she'd been kicked out for defending Jack? Townsfolk noticed, Mrs. Clara paused her quilting, peering from her shop window. Mr. Lee at the feed store set down a sack, his brow furrowing. Old Miss Hattie waved from her porch swing, sensing trouble. Whispers drifted from the diner, where moms over coffee clucked, "That's Henry Morgan's girl," kicked up a fuss at school. Ellie's cheeks burned, but her feet carried her to the Veterans Memorial, a granite slab etched with Oakwood's fallen. Her parents' names carved deep, Lieutenant Michael Morgan, Sarah Morgan. She traced them with a fingertip, whispering, "I tried to be brave like you." Across the square, Colonel James Carter sat in his SUV. His marine blues crisp despite the humid air clinging to his skin. He'd driven from Camp Lejeune to deliver a posthumous Navy Cross to Henry for Michael's valor, an ambush in Helmand. A sacrifice unnoted till now. But seeing Ellie escorted from school shifted his mission. A few calls confirmed the clash: service dog, expulsion, a veteran in distress. Now, watching her at the memorial. He stepped out, boots soft on the cobblestones. "Miss Morgan?" His voice was warm, edged with command. Ellie turned, startled, clocking the uniform. Granddad's hung in the closet, though with fewer ribbons. "I'm Colonel Carter, I served with your folks in Afghanistan." Her eyes widened, a spark of connection. He gestured to the bench beneath the flag. "May I?" She nodded. And he sat, leaving space. "Saw what happened at school. Tell me your side." His tone, steady, not pitying, unlocked her tale, spilling from Titan's aid to Hargrove's fury. "I didn't want to be bad," she finished, "but Grandad says we protect our own." Carter's jaw tightened, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "You were right, Ellie. Your folks would be proud. Let's get you home, Henry needs to hear this from us." Not the grapevine. The SUV hummed toward Maple Street, Ellie's small hand tracing her backpack sketches, the weight of the day settling into her bones. Oakwood watched, curtains twitching. As the first threads of a larger story began to weave through its quiet heart. The black SUV rolled down Maple Street, its tires whispering against the cracked asphalt as dusk painted Oakwood's sky in streaks of lavender and gold. Ellie Morgan sat in the passenger seat, her backpack hugged tight, its German Shepherd sketches catching the fading light. Colonel James Carter gripped the wheel, his marine blues a stark contrast to the town's soft edges. Navigating the familiar turns to her granddad's Victorian home. The house emerged from the twilight, peeling white paint, a sagging porch strung with ivy, and Henry Morgan rocking slowly in his weathered chair. His gaze sharpening as he clocked Ellie's early return with a stranger in uniform. He eased to his feet, arthritis gnawing at his joints, his flannel shirt hanging loose over a frame once broad with soldier's muscle. Ellie bolted from the car, her sneakers pounding the steps, and threw herself into his arms. "Grandad," she cried, her voice muffled against his chest. Colonel Carter followed. Hat in hand, his boots thudding softly on the worn planks. A silent nod passed between the veterans, old comrades recognizing a shared language of duty and trouble. Inside, the living room smelled of wood polish, pipe tobacco, and time, walls lined with black and white photos of Henry's platoon, a young Michael in dress blues, Sarah beaming in her nurse's cap. Ellie perched between the two men on the sagging couch. Its springs creaking under their weight, and spilled her story: Jack's collapse, Titan's steady presence, her defiance of Hargrove. Henry's face remained a mask, a skill honed in Vietnam's jungles. But his gnarled hands trembled as she spoke, betraying the storm beneath. When she finished, he shut his eyes, breath shallow, a sheen of sweat on his brow. "Granddad?" Ellie's voice quivered, her small hand clutching his sleeve. Colonel Carter caught the signs: cold sweat, irregular gasps, and reached for his phone. "Mr. Morgan needs medical attention," he said, dialing 911 with calm precision. "Ellie, where's his medication?" She darted to the kitchen, her sneakers squeaking on the linoleum, and grabbed a bottle of nitroglycerin from the counter, its orange plastic rattling as she ran back. Paramedics arrived in a flurry of red lights, their boots heavy as they loaded Henry onto a stretcher, his pulse flickering like a dying ember. "Stress-induced cardiac event," one muttered, glancing at Ellie's frightened face. "I'll stay with her till family's sorted," Carter offered, flashing his Marine ID. The medics nodded, and as the ambulance wailed into the night, he called Mrs. Edith Pike, their neighbor, a widow with a knack for casseroles and a soft spot for Ellie, to take watch. The next morning, the Oakwood Herald hit porches with a front-page scream: "Veteran's granddaughter expelled for defending service dog." Jack Reynolds' niece, a cub reporter with a nose for justice, had penned a searing account, tying Henry's hospitalization to the ordeal. By noon, regional news vans rolled into town, their satellite dishes sprouting like weeds along Main Street, and a Savannah TV crew set up camp outside the school. Principal Hargrove faced Superintendent Linda Grayson in her office. A sterile room of file cabinets and faded motivational posters. "She defied me outright," he insisted, his tie askew, his voice tight with strain. "Policies exist to protect kids." Ellie crossed a line. Grayson, a sharp woman with graying hair and a politician's eye, leaned back in her chair, exhaustion etching her face. "Robert, she's 6, an orphan of war heroes. You've got veterans groups and the ACLU breathing down my neck. This is a PR nightmare." Hargrove straightened, unyielding. "Order matters, Linda. Without it, we've got chaos." She sighed. "Fix this, or it'll fix you." Ellie's school options dwindled fast. Mrs. Pike tried nearby Riverside Elementary, but the principal demurred after a call to Hargrove. "We can't touch this mess," he said. "Homeschool, till it cools off." Pine Grove and Cedar Hill echoed the same. Ellie had become a lightning rod no one dared grasp. At Oakwood General, Henry stabilized in a sterile room of beeping machines, his heart fragile but holding. Ellie visited daily, slipping through the antiseptic halls with drawings of Titan, bold lines of charcoal and crayon, to brighten his bedside. "For you, Granddad," she'd whisper, taping them to the wall, her small hands careful around his 4 lines. Nurses smiled, but their eyes betrayed worry. Henry's ticker couldn't take much more. Colonel Carter became a fixture, juggling calls to advocacy groups from his SUV and checking on Ellie at Mrs. Pike's tidy bungalow. On her 3rd visit, he sat with Henry, their low murmurs halting as she slipped in, her sneakers silent on the tile. "My brave girl," Henry rasped, patting the bed with a shaky hand. She climbed up, mindful of the tubes, her warmth a lifeline. "You stood tall like your folks, I'm proud." Ellie. But school mattered to them too. Carter cleared his throat, his baritone cutting through. "I've got a solution, Henry, Riverside Military Academy's elementary wing. They'll take her now. And they run a therapy dog program with the VA, thought she'd like that." Ellie's eyes sparkled. Dogs, but leaving Oakwood tugged at her heart, a quiet ache for the familiar. Henry nodded faintly, pride and worry warring in his gaze. Before he could speak, a nurse burst in, clipboard clutched. TV crews downstairs want to talk about the girl and the dog. It's going national. The story was a wildfire, spreading beyond Oakwood's borders. Oakwood fractured like dry earth under a summer sun. Council candidate Tom Wheeler seized the moment. Rallying at the Veterans Memorial, a slab of granite flanked by live oaks, vowing to safeguard our heroes' rights, dogs and all. His rival, Ellen Carver, countered with a "Safety First" forum at the community center. A child psychologist preaching respect for authority under fluorescent lights. Shops took sides. Mr. Lee's feed store hung a "Service Dogs Welcome" sign, its letters bold in red paint. While Clara's quilt shop posted "Safety Matters" in neat cursive. Parents pulled kids from Oakwood Elementary, some in solidarity with Ellie, others backing Hargrove's iron hand. Mrs. Ellen Tate, Ellie's teacher, resigned after a reprimand for slipping homework to Mrs. Pike, her soft voice no match for the administration's wrath. The school board slated an emergency meeting for Tuesday. And Clarence Tate faced scrutiny, his son's attack 2 years back, a stray dog's teeth in a park sandbox, cast doubt on his objectivity. The Oakwood Herald ran a follow-up, health inspectors passed Cloud's judgment. Carter dug deeper, his marine instincts kicking in. Calls to old contacts revealed ties. Hargrove and Jack had served in Vietnam, Hargrove an officer, Jack a grunt, Hargrove's son. Lieutenant Daniel died under Michael Morgan's command in Afghanistan, a mission Jack had survived. "It's personal," Carter told Henry, his voice low beside the hospital bed. Old wounds bleeding into Ellie's fight. Jack and Titan, meanwhile, became reluctant icons. Veterans groups rallied, and a visitor's photo, Jack and Henry clasping hands, Titan's head resting on the bed, went viral. Captioned, "This is why Ellie stood up." Shares soared, comments flooding with support and fury. Protests brewed, veterans with service dogs lined the school board office, their animals at attention. Countered by safety advocates across the street, signs pleading, "Protect our kids." Ellie stayed with Mrs. Pike, shielded from the chaos, her crayons tracing Titan's form as a balm for her racing heart. Monday, as Henry faced a battery of heart tests, Carter's phone buzzed, a Pentagon contact. VA secretaries watching, might step in. Hargrove sought a private meet, his voice strained over the line. "Can we talk, Colonel? Off the record?" Tuesday's board meeting loomed, media vans clogging Main Street, satellite dishes piercing the sky. Oakwood's quiet pulse quickened, Ellie's stand now a national heartbeat. The auditorium was a pressure cooker, rows of folding chairs groaning under townsfolk, walls lined with standees, the air thick with sweat and anticipation. Superintendent Linda Grayson banged the gavel at 7 p.m. Her voice crackling through a staticky mic, "We're here to address Ellie Morgan, Principal Hargrove, and our animal policy." Hargrove took the podium first, his suit rumpled. His tone defiant but fraying. "I upheld safety. Ellie challenged me with disrespect, invoking her father to inflame." Murmurs rippled, some nodding, others hissing. Jack followed. Titan at his side, the shepherd's presence a quiet thunder. "This ain't about favors, it's law. Titan keeps me breathing." He turned to Hargrove, eyes piercing. "You knew me in Nam. Your son died with Michael Morgan. I begged for dogs then, got nothing." Gasps echoed. Clarence Tate stepped up, hesitant. "My son's attack skewed me. 2 years ago, a stray nearly killed him. I overreacted to Titan." Ellie, in a green dress Mrs. Pike had ironed, took the mic with Carter's steady nod, standing on a crate to reach it. "My name's Ellie Morgan. My parents died for our country. Titan helps Mr. Reynolds. I told the truth like Granddad taught me." She met Hargrove's gaze. "I'm sorry if I upset you," Granddad says anger hides sadness. The room erupted, veterans stood. Clapping, tears glinting. Carter laid out ADA statutes, his voice a steel thread. Federal eyes are on this, Ellie's expulsion may be illegal. Then Henry rolled in, oxygen hissing. His wheelchair a stark silhouette. I taught her to stand for the weak. If that's wrong, what are we teaching? Hargrove faltered, voice breaking. I lost my son, Ellie's words cut through me. I'm sorry. A recess brought a quiet moment. Hargrove knelt, shaking Henry's hand, Ellie offering a shy smile. Kids, led by Grayson's son Ben, stormed forward with letters demanding her return. Shifting the tide. Carter's phone buzzed, VA pressure mounted. After a closed huddle, Grayson read the resolution, Ellie's expulsion erased, a dog education program launched. Hargrove stepping back for personal reassessment. Cheers clashed with grumbles as a vigil formed outside, candles flickering for the fallen, a fragile unity. Titan nuzzled Ellie. Cameras flashing, a symbol of her fight glowing in the Georgia night. Wednesday morning broke over Oakwood with a humid haze, the town's relief short-lived. At 8:45, Animal Control Officer Sam Mills knocked on Jack Reynolds' door. A clipboard in hand. Got a complaint, public risk. Titan's gotta go into quarantine, 10 days minimum. Jack's face drained, his grip on Titan's harness white-knuckled. He's my lifeline, you can't take him. He rasped, his voice fraying with panic. Mills, a wiry man with tired eyes, shifted uncomfortably. County ordinance, Mr. Reynolds, someone filed it last night. You've got an hour. Jack's breath hitched, and without Titan's steady pressure, he crumpled to the floor, hands clutching his chest. Neighbors dialed 911, and medics rushed him to Oakwood General Psych Ward. His chart noting, severe panic attack, dissociation, a collapse Titan could have prevented. Ellie, poised to return to school, heard the news at Mrs. Pike's breakfast table, her fork clattering against her plate. Titan helps Mr. Reynolds breathe. What if he can't? She sobbed, tears spilling into her oatmeal. Mrs. Pike had no words, her own hands trembling as she dialed Colonel Carter. Henry Morgan's heart monitor spiked at the update, his blood pressure soaring in the sterile confines of Oakwood General. No more stress, Dr. Patel warned Carter in the hall. His tone clipped. Another event could finish him, he's hanging by a thread. Visitors were barred for 24 hours, leaving Ellie clutching her sketchbook at Mrs. Pike's, her drawings of Titan growing darker. Sharper. Her first day back at Oakwood Elementary was a gut punch. Kids edged away on the playground, their whispers cutting. You got Hargrove in trouble, one sneered, darting back to a gaggle of friends. Parents hovered at the fence, eyes cold, some clutching, safety first, flyers. By lunch, Ellie sat alone in the cafeteria, her tray of mac and cheese untouched, her once bright spirit dimming under the weight of isolation. Mrs. Ellen Tate, reinstated after her resignation flap, tried to bridge the gap, but her soft words only spotlighted Ellie's outcast status. Mrs. Pike called Carter that afternoon. Voice cracking. She won't go back tomorrow, packed her dad's marine photos, says she's running off to find Titan. She's breaking, Colonel. Oakwood seemed split wider. Veterans egged Clara's quilt shop. Yolk dripping down, safety matters, signs, while safety folk soaked Mr. Lee's dog-friendly windows with Protect Kids. Pastor Lee's Unity service at First Baptist drew a scant crowd. Pews echoing with absence as families dug into their trenches. Social media turned feral, Facebook threads vilified Carter as a meddler, Hargrove as a tyrant, Ellie as a pawn. National news framed it as America's culture war, service versus safety, burying Ellie's simple stand in pundit noise. Friday, Carter stormed the courthouse with a cadre of Marine lawyers. Their briefcases snapping open in Judge Amos Ellis' chambers. MPs secured the doors, reporters buzzing outside like flies on a screen, as Carter dropped a bombshell. Operation Canine Shield, Jack's visit was a federal ADA compliance test. 7 sites, Oakwood the last. Ellie's stand wasn't scripted, it escalated us. Clarence Tate bristled, his thin frame tensing. A setup? No, Carter countered, firm but calm. Her courage was real, we didn't expect a kid. Judge Ellis, a silver-haired jurist with a farmer's drawl, frowned. This tore up my town and hurt a child, explain that, Colonel. Carter sought Titan's release, Ellie's record scrubbed, and mandatory training for county brass. Federal eyes are on this, VA's ready to dig. Hargrove approached next, unshaven. Eyes hollow. It wasn't just rules, he confessed, voice cracking. My son, Daniel, died in Kandahar, Michael Morgan saved him, gave him hours to radio out. I denied his K-9 request years back, budget cuts. Ellie's words ripped me open, I lashed out from guilt. Tears streaked his face as he faced her, the courtroom still. Clarence Tate followed, hands unsteady. My son's attack, 2 years ago. A failed service dog, badly trained. I've been facing it with him at a training center, German Shepherds, even. I misjudged Titan, let fear rule. Carter knelt to Ellie, his service pin glinting as he pressed it into her hand. Your dad was my West Point brother, he made me promise to guard you. I've been here, quiet, till now. Henry had known, his silence a shield for Carter's vow. Titan bounded free that night. His tail thumping as he licked Ellie's hand at the animal control lot, her smile breaking through days of shadow. Oakwood Elementary transformed, Hargrove, back from leave, greeted her at the door. A handshake sealing respect. A dog curriculum rolled out, posters lining halls with ADA facts and Titan's photo. Henry's heart steadied, Jack's mind cleared with Titan's return. And Clarence rewrote health codes with his son, Caleb, at his side, smiling in photos with trainee dogs. Spring brought the Veterans Day parade, Ellie and Titan led, Henry and Jack in a convertible. Flags snapping in the breeze. The Morgan Reynolds Center opened downtown, a vet hub with a dog training wing, Ellie its junior artist, her sketches framed on the walls. At her advancement ceremony, cheers rang for her grit, not the fight, a girl again, not a symbol. That night, on the porch, Henry, Carter, Jack, and Titan watched her chase fireflies, laughter spilling into the dark. Takes a kid to show us, Henry rasped, oxygen hissing. Carter nodded, eyes soft. Michael's proud, she stitched us back together. Months later, Oakwood bloomed, pecan trees budding. The town softer, wiser. The center thrived, vets mentoring kids, dogs like Titan bridging past and present. Ellie's drawings hung in the school library, a quiet legacy of a stand that healed a town's heart. Ellie's story teaches us that courage doesn't wear a uniform, it lives in the heart, even a child's. In Oakwood, one small stand showed that truth and kindness can heal a divided town. What moved you most? Share in the comments, hit like if it warmed your soul, and tag a friend who'd love this. Let's keep the spirit alive.